Coming up on this edition of Stony Brook News, the coronavirus has made its way to the United States. Schools are shifting to online classes. New York has the most cases. How's the state planning to contain the spread? We'll get reactions from Stony Brook students who study abroad in Italy. And what do students at home think about the shift in curriculum? All of this and more.
Vaccine will be available within the next 18 months.
Business here for about 25 years.
We have an agenda, obviously.
Welcome to this week's edition of Stony Brook News. I'm Jacob Alvear.
And I'm Alex Backerdan.
We're starting off with an update on the coronavirus. There are currently over 116,000 cases worldwide, with over 4,000 deaths. In the U.S., there are more than 700 cases, with the number continuing to grow. Here in New York, over 100 people have been found to be infected with the virus.
So how's this affecting students at Stony Brook? We're going live to Caitlin McDuffie, who's at Stony Brook Hospital. Katie?
Thanks, Alex. The coronavirus is now an international concern, which isn't good news for those who decide to study abroad this semester, especially in places that hit the coronavirus hard, like Italy.
A semester abroad in Italy was a dream come true for Stony Brook Junior Gabby Pardo. That dream was turned into a nightmare when Pardo was told she had to pack her things and leave because of the coronavirus.
I miss Florence so much. I still talk to all my roommates every single day. I love them so much. I think I made the right decision because I also see people Snapchats and stuff who are still out there that the city is empty.
Last week, Governor Cuomo suspended all abroad programs in China, Italy, Japan, and South Korea. All abroad students were advised to come home, finish their classes online, and self-quarantine for 14 days. While Dr. NACHMAN does not believe young students are at high risk for getting serious cases of the virus, she does think it's important for students coming home to take precaution in case they are carrying the virus.
I think it is really important for those who are returning from Italy, just like adults who are returning from Italy, to stay in isolation to protect everyone in their community at that time.
The virus has taken a toll on tourism. PURZYCKA moved to Italy from Detroit to work for a travel company this January, but was sent home yesterday because of the lack of tourism among students.
Basically, we got released from our contracts and our company kind of paused operations for the end till the rest of the semester, and we'll see if students come back in the summer.
At least 463 people have died from the virus in Italy, and infection has increased by 24%.
Students like Gabby Pardo are self-quarantining right now. Jacob?
So Katie, what is the update on the coronavirus for Stony Brook students?
So far, there have been no confirmed cases of the coronavirus at Stony Brook University. Back to you guys.
Universities across the country are opting to move classes online due to coronavirus fears. Some Stony Brook University professors have emailed students about the transition to online starting Monday, March 23rd after spring break. Fordham, Hofstra, and Harvard, being the latest, are a few of the many schools planning to move classes online. No official announcement from Stony Brook has been made yet. Some students have already voiced their thoughts on finishing the rest of the semester outside of class.
I live on campus, so I feel like for me, I think that it's good. Maybe if I were a commuter, I don't know if it would be as big of a deal. I think that they're doing the right thing.
Honestly, this is such a hard decision. I don't even know what I would do if I was in administration. I just think the only thing they need to do better is communicating with the students. They haven't put out any info to students, just a lot of emails to faculty, which have leaked. And now there's just tons of rumors, and I'd really wish they tell us something so we could have peace of mind.
I think it'll be harder in terms of specific classes, like STEM classes, to kind of focus online, but I feel like if you stick to it, you'll be okay.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has ordered the National Guard to a health department command post in New Rochelle in Westchester County, New York. The county holds the majority of cases in the state. New Rochelle schools will be closed for the next 2 weeks. Residents will still be permitted to leave the county. Governor Cuomo announced Monday, New York State is going to produce a hand sanitizer starting at 100,000 gallons per week. Cuomo says these will be dispersed to government agencies, schools, the MTA, prisons, and other controversy broke immediately from advocates and politicians calling this slave labor because inmates would be manufacturing at 65 cents an hour. Governor Cuomo did not respond yet for comment.
World Health Organization, CDC, all those people suggest 60% alcohol content. Purell, competitor to New York State Clean, 70% alcohol. This is 75% alcohol.
The MTA is taking steps to prevent the spread of COVID-19 after over 170 cases have been confirmed in New York. Paige Clark reports.
As the coronavirus spreads throughout the country, the MTA will be cleaning all trains, buses, subways, and their stations every 72 hours to protect its customers. New York contains over 100 cases of the coronavirus so far.
We want New Yorkers to know that we're doing everything possible to keep our customers safe. Your safety is our highest priority, and as such, we're going above and beyond recommendations from health experts to disinfect the system.
Turnstiles, ticket booths, handrails, and other frequently touched surfaces will be cleaned daily with disinfectants approved by the Center for Disease Control. The MTA is the largest public transportation system in the country. The Long Island Railroad alone serves over 300,000 commuters on a daily basis.
I'm not too sure if there's any standards on the trains or subways just for cleaning, so it's always good to keep on that and to make sure we're all safe, because that should be their number one priority.
There's over 5,700 buses and 124 Metro North and Long Island Railroad stations across Lower New York, all being cleaned every 3 days. But will this enforcement actually prevent the spread of the virus? Dr. Bettina Fries, professor of medicine at Stony Brook University, says cleaning transportation systems will have a limited effect. People sit close to each other and cough at each other. This will help, but not eliminate the risk. While the MTA takes its own precautions in cleaning all trains, buses, subways, and their stations, it is also reminding its customers to not only watch the gap, but to wash their hands as well. For Stony Brook News, I'm Paige Clark.
The executive director of the New York and New Jersey Port Authority has the coronavirus, according to Governor Andrew Cuomo. Rick Cotton is under self-quarantine and is working from home. Meanwhile, his team will also be tested for the virus. Cuomo said Mr. Cotton was at the airport where many people were coming back with the COVID-19. His wife, Elizabeth Smith, who is the president of the Central Park Conservancy, has also tested positive for the virus. New York is now the state with the most cases of the coronavirus, with 173 people infected. And Cuomo said these numbers are going to continue to go one direction, and that is up. The primaries continue with a mini version of last week's Super Tuesday. 6 states are holding primaries on Tuesday. Today, former Vice President Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders are the Democratic Party's top candidates. Biden holds a lead with 664 delegates, and Sanders is right behind him with 573, as reported by USA Today. Michigan has the most delegates to offer out of the 6 states, with 125 available for candidates.
St. Patrick's Day celebrations are in full swing on Long Island, with businesses still aiming to make a profit. Duffy Zimmerman was in Kings Park this weekend for the story.
March 17th may still be a week away, but Long Islanders march to the beat of their own drum. Kings Park hosted its 9th annual St. Patrick's Day Parade on Saturday, drawing crowds of all ages. Vendors took advantage of the event, selling everything from beer to blowhorns. For the Amityville Highland Pipe Band, the parade marked the start of the new year.
Well, Kings Park is one of the major St. Patty's Day parades on Long Island, and this is the kickoff for our season for 2020.
Even the performers had something on their mind other than their own act.
Getting to the end and having a pint of Guinness.
While music and dancing are staples of St. Patrick's Day celebrations for all ages, beer is a big part of festivities for adults. Due to a 174% increase of beer consumption on this day, Guinness alone is predicted to sell 13 million pints. The CDC recommends no more than 1 or 2 drinks daily, but the average American will consume 4.2 drinks on St. Patrick's Day. According to the Department of Motor Vehicles, this amount of alcohol would likely make someone legally drunk and unfit to drive. If you do choose to drink, remember to plan ahead and have a designated driver or take public transportation home. For Stony Brook News, I'm Duffy Zimmerman.
In Russia, President Vladimir Putin supported a proposed constitutional amendment that would put a 2-term limit on the president's term. Term limits would only begin after his current term finishes. Russian observers are calling the move a way to extend Putin's already 20-year power reign. He is currently the longest-serving leader in Russia history since Soviet leader Joseph Stalin.
The search for a president for Stony Brook University has narrowed down to 3 candidates, according to the Statesman. Chairman of the Presidential Search Committee and Stony Brook Council, Kevin S. Law, stated that after reviewing over 50 applicants and conducting 10 interviews, the final 3 candidates will be reviewed by SUNY Chancellor Christina Johnson and her executive leadership team. After Johnson makes her final selection, the candidate will need to be approved by the SUNY Board of Trustees. After an approval by the board, SUNY will send out a press release that will detail the new president's appointment information. The new president is expected to take over this summer, taking the place of interim President Michael Bernstein, who took office in August but withdrew his name from consideration in late January. Last Sunday was International Women's Day. Stony Brook University celebrated the day by paying homage to women in STEM. Vivica Michelle reports.
Take the baton from the women ahead of me and keep fighting this very good fight.
March 8th marks International Women's Day, a day to celebrate the importance of women and their accomplishments. Stony Brook University's Women in Science and Engineering, as well as their graduates of Women in Science and Engineering, decided to focus their celebration on women in STEM to inspire young women to join.
The more examples we can put out for the young kids to see what they can do in a STEM field with a STEM degree is important, because that gives them role models, which is one of the lacking things around the globe.
Women in STEM remain an underrepresented group despite growing numbers. 28% of women make up the STEM workforce, a 7% increase from 2016.
Hi everyone, good part in STEM.
Associate Professor Karen Chen Wegar has been in the STEM field for over 10 years. She started her journey in STEM when she was just an undergrad in college.
Looking back, it's of course quite a young age to start it, but you don't just like dive in, right? You sort of build your way one step at a time.
Professor Chen Wegar has a unique view on gender inequalities in the STEM field, as she believes it's about your way of thinking.
And the more important is that we collectively thinking about how to overcome those challenges as a path of growth, right? Then challenges will never go away, and regardless of their background.
She also wants young women who are entering the STEM field to know,
don't be limited by any of the background or labels or any stereotype. Some of that being reinforces in those discussions to some extent, and leave those behind.
The theme for this year's International Women's Month is #EqualForEach, which is about collective individualism, or the idea that the actions of many impact society as a whole. For Stony Brook News, I'm Vivica Michelle.
Former Brazil and Barcelona soccer player Ronaldinho was arrested last Friday in Paraguay after using a false Paraguayan passport. A Paraguayan judge ruled Ronaldinho and his brother would remain behind bars after their lawyer confirmed the passports were false and that they were a gift from a Brazilian businessman. The former World Cup winner was traveling to Paraguay for a charity event, but now faces up to 6 months in prison. Ronaldinho and his brother are set to face a judge today. Anna Correa is here with us for some news about Stony Brook athletics. Anna, what can you tell us?
Thanks, Alex. It's been a strong weekend for the Stony Brook basketball teams. The women are heading to their first America East Championship after a 57-42 semifinal victory over Binghamton on Sunday. Sophomore Annie Warren had a game-high 18 points, including this driving layup as the Seawolves extended their lead in the second quarter. Leading scorer India Pagan returned after missing the last 3 games with an injury. Top-seeded Stony Brook hosts number 2 seed and defending conference champion Maine this Friday at 5 p.m. in the Island Federal Arena. With a win, the Seawolves will head to the NCAA tournament for the first time in program history. The men's basketball team will look to secure its spot in the America East Final tonight after beating UAlbany 76-73 in the quarterfinal on Saturday. In his first start after suffering an injury on February 8, Elijah Olani delivered a huge bucket with this last-second layup in the first half. After a back-and-forth second half, the Great Danes had a chance to send it to overtime. But this last-second heave by Antonio Risotto didn't fall. Number 2 seed Stony Brook hosts 3rd-seeded Hartford tonight at 7 p.m. And for those of you attending tonight's game, there will be additional cleaning staff and a no handshake policy. And speaking of conference tournaments, the Ivy League announced Tuesday afternoon that it has canceled its tournament due to coronavirus concerns. It is the first conference tournament to be canceled this March. That's a wrap for sports. Back to you guys.
That's all we have for this edition of Stony Brook News.
Stay healthy, Seawolves, and please remember to wash your hands.
I know I sure am.